We are live, and this is a special broadcast of LARP Chat Live. I'm very pleased to present the rules, the safety rules for our setting for the alpha run of Chariot LARP, which is an immersive digital LARP that I will be running here on Twitch. And you can see Odin, my space dog, is appropriately here for the setting. He's ready to play. But first, Odin, you can't play. We need to go over all of the safety rules. So we're going to begin with that. First, we're going to talk a little bit about what Chariot LARP is all about. And then we're going to get into the safety rules and how we do safety rules in live action role-playing games and how that translates to this digital format. So if you do have any questions at any time, you can go ahead and pop those right into the window down there. Again, this is Chariot LARP, and this is for the alpha test. We're doing some safety and consent rules, and we're going to talk about how we do safety and consent rules in live-action role-playing games, and also how we're going to specifically do them for the alpha test or the alpha run of Chariot LARP, an immersive digital LARP that takes place entirely online, where the players, as well as their characters, are actually video conferencing over a computer. So that's kind of the idea for the LARP, and I am going to drop the link right in the window here. If you want to learn more about the LARP, you can actually check out the website right there. There's also sign-up information, and there are slots open for games. We have our Zeta run, which is running on Saturdays. We have a run that's all people of color that Morgan is going to be the captain for, and it's going to be great. And then we are also going to have Josh's run, which is the Iota run, and that's for people who prefer not to have their game streamed, because the rest of these runs are all streamed. I'm also putting together the Epsilon run, which is going to be an all-woman crew, and that's going to be really super fun as well. We haven't picked a time for that yet, but we're working on it. Really trying to scale this game appropriately to make sure that I can give everyone the attention they need and make sure we all get everything done on time for alpha so that the rulebook is completely finalized by the time the beta run begins. So we're going to go over the safety and consent rules for the LARP today. But if you are interested in the game, please do check out the link. I'd really appreciate any kind of share you could give to that link. It would mean a great deal because I'm trying to sell more runs so I can open up the rest of it. And I actually pay my GM. So if I'm not the GM of the game, I do pay them to run the game. So you're also providing employment for the people who are running the games besides myself, which is fantastic. And I really look forward to working with Morgan and Josh to get these games live. So there's plenty of information here on the website about the LARP, about the goals of the LARP. And one of the reasons I'm scrolling through the goals of the LARP is because they do relate to safety. We want to provide a game that has no travel requirements, limited costume requirements. We want to use technology we already have, and we want to make use of free resources. And we want this to be accessible. And getting into the safety portion of this is what we're here to talk about today. This is an 18+ game, so we are going to encounter mature topics. Characters will have a lot of anger. Characters will have, relationship issues. A couple of us have already talked about our characters having a really antagonistic relationship where maybe they get together off screen and then they come back on screen and they're like, we did some adult things. So that is an extreme possibility. So there will be strong language. I'm not going to limit what people say beyond harmful language like slurs. But if somebody wants to curse, as long as it follows Twitch's procedure, I'm fine with that. There will be references to sexual acts, and there will be a depiction of violence possible. So if a character if a player decides that their character has experienced a violent event, it's like maybe they got punched in the face or they have a slash over their face, that could be depicted, and we might be able to see that. So the other thing is there will be some unpredictable content from the game and its participants. With a LARP, you never know. You can't ever predict what everyone's going to do, but we are going to trust each other to do this safely. So participants must agree to all the policies that we've set forth here at the Geek Initiative, as well as the policies set forth by Twitch, since we're streaming the alpha run, as well as Discord, which is the server that we're going to use to communicate about the run off of Facebook. And then we need to also have each player provide their permission, because we're going to be recording on the stream their face and their voice, and we're going to upload that video and use it in the future and even monetize that content to fund the game. One way we can keep the ticket cost really low is that this stream is constantly monetized. So as I'm streaming, people come in and follow, they subscribe, they hopefully drop bits. If you are in the US, you can actually subscribe for free if you have Amazon Prime by clicking the subscribe button up there. And it's of no extra cost to you if you have Amazon Prime. So I'd appreciate that, and it does go to support the game. So, you know, we do need to make sure we have everything like that set, all the permission. And we do have the schedules and everything all set up. And like I said, we are hiring GMs. So we're going to go over some safety policies here. And again, this is for the alpha test, so I'm looking for feedback. So if you have any feedback on this, let me know. I know I have at least one person in the chat room right now who has not done a live action role-playing game before but knows what it is. And I'm guessing I have some other people in here who do know what LARPing is and have LARP before. So I'm not trying to call out all you lurkers. I do love all of you, whether you're a lurker or not. But I really am looking for some feedback here, and I greatly appreciate anything that you had to offer. So feedback definitely welcome, especially at this stage, because I'm doing testing. So I'm going to move over to the actual safety policies page, and all of these safety policies, which can and will probably be updated, these are all available right over here. I'm going to pop the link into the chat. They're available on the safety, consent, and inclusion policies page. And we want to make sure that, and this is a general thing for all of our LARPs, we'll have a few specific things we're going to go over for this specific sci-fi game known as Chariot LARP. But these are general policies for all of our games. So these games they're really character-driven, they're plot-driven, and again, you're not going to predict what everybody says. And we kind of have to trust each other going into this. And I'm doing something a little different here by streaming a live-action role-playing game. So there's also the element of this audience watching. And, you know, we need to keep that in mind too. So there are different experiences and things we need to go over. There are potentially triggering issues that come up, and I'm not saying this in a way to make fun of everyone, like a lot of people will use that term on Twitch. I'm being very serious. There are things that will come up. In this LARP, we are dealing with grief. I am actually going to be deeply exploring grief, letting go of certain things in my life, and if people are comfortable with that, I'm going to encourage them to do the same. So, yes, lurkers are definitely welcome. So what we're going to do is go over the different types of safety. And there's physical and emotional safety in LARPs. Physical safety isn't as much of a concern with a digital LARP, but we are going to talk about it a little bit. Physical safety covers things like if you're interacting with somebody else in person, what you can and can't do to you, and how to consent and negotiate with that. You're going to be most of our players are going to be at home, alone in front of a computer, but there are still some safety concerns to follow. Because we're going to go over things like set dressing and how to make your environment look like your character's home or wherever it is that they're broadcasting from. And some people like to use items like candles, for example. So, you know, when you get involved in your set dressing, keep that in mind. Try not to put candles and flammable stuff. You know, just make sure that it's safe. And, you know, your attention is going to be on your computer. So make sure that your attention is here and normal safety stuff, your doors are locked, that kind of thing. Just want to make sure everybody stays physically safe during the game. So physical safety refers to feeling safe from danger, abuse, harassment, threats, unwanted behavior, and real-world events and ideologies that are not directly part of the game's subject matter. So in this game, we are going to discuss the state of Earth at the end of this century. So wars are happening, you know, and that is certainly a path that our current world could go down. And you know, I have envisioned that future in this kind of dystopian way, or possibly speculative way. And we're going to try and avoid our current real world situation, but we are going to grapple with some issues that we're feeling as a result of this real world situation. And that's really something that a lot of us feel that we need to deal with, and that things have changed and we need to grieve. So we are going to deal with some of that, and that's kind of like a content warning that everybody should know about if they're watching or participating in this game. So our in-person games follow like all the rules of Twitch and everything like that. For this game, since we're streaming it, harassment and abuse, stalking, that kind of thing, that's a concern. All of these streams are moderated. I have a moderator in here right now, so if anything happens, they're going to take the necessary precautions to ban the person that is saying harmful things, and we'll try to get that troll out of the room as quickly as possible. It happens. I'm a woman who streams. It's happened to me often enough, and I'm certain that it'll happen again. So, we do need to kind of keep aware of that and know that the stream will be moderated, and people can, have some protection there, because we will have moderators booting any trolls. So we want to make the environment safe for everyone there. Obviously, by participating in the LARP, all viewers and participants agree that they're not going to threaten or harass any other member of the game. That's part of participating. We also talk about emotional safety. And that means we tackle some difficult topics. And even though this LARP is digital, there's still a high level of immersion possible. By immersion, I mean that you are playing the role of your character and you're kind of experiencing things as they do. So I've been immersed as different characters before. And one of them was a battle-oriented character. And that's a safety issue in combat, right? But there's also an emotional concern. If you and I are having a very serious conversation and, and I'm upset and I'm feeling that immersively, we need to kind of talk about that. And there are things that can happen and things you can do about that. There is the concept of bleed, which is the transference of emotion from character to player. And it can also happen vice versa. So if I'm fighting with you in real life, maybe my character's mean to your character. But usually it happens in character to out of character. So you're being a jerk to me in character, and now I hate you out of character, which isn't really fair, right? And we can prevent some of negative bleed by discussing it, by negotiating scenes beforehand. When I did character development last week with Marshall, one of the participants for the alpha game, we already started developing the kind of antagonistic relationship that our characters might have. In the game. Same thing with Kathleen, who's also an experienced role player. She's going to be like an instigator type. And so I'm like, yeah, we're going to butt heads. And we kind of set that up. And so then before we actually start role playing, we're going to do a more specific negotiation where we really determine the type of relationship that these characters might have. And that can change. The consent can change. Our comfortability level can change. And the way the characters interact can change. So we're going to need to pause, and we're going to need to, we're really going to need to address that as it happens. And we're going to do that in this LARP through some different tools that we're going to talk about, through some digital tools. So that's the important thing, emotional safety and bleed. The player is more important than the game, always. People are more important than LARPs is what we say. So, oh, hi Marshall, you're here. I was just talking about you. The player is more important than LARP. And we really want to stress that in all of our interactions, even if it means interrupting a game that's full with 10 people in it. We're going to focus on that. So the smaller group will help. The pre-discussion will help. We're going to have an opportunity to go over, to meet each other out of game on our Discord server, in our Facebook group for the alpha test. And we're really going to have an opportunity to get through that. So we're working on that. I still have to distribute our characters for Alpha Run. And then once that happens, we're going to have a chance to let everybody kind of figure out where their character is and get situated and comfortable and ask any questions. And I think having that time to do that is really important. So the other thing we're going to do is we're going to discuss some tools that we use to communicate consent and emotional safety in the game. And some of it's going to be similar to what you may have experienced at other live action role-playing games, and some of it's going to be a little different because it's happening online. So the first one that I'm going to talk about, which you might have seen in in-person games, is the look down. So the look down goes like this. You just look down, and that indicates that you are your character is not there for whatever reason. And it could be like you don't want to interrupt the game and you just have to pee. Bam. You can do this, get up, and everybody else just continues as though you hadn't like left. The other thing might be, if you have like an emergency, if you're getting an emergency text message or something like that, and you just need to check it out for a minute, that's fine too. In this game, you can also go offline. It's going to be on Google Hangouts, so you can turn off your video camera. And when you do that, I just request that you put a message in the chat, which is right over here. This is chat. Or in the Discord server, which everyone will have the login info to, letting us know that you're okay, but you need to take care of something. So the advantage to this format that you don't have in real life is that you can also communicate non-emergency things by text. And I encourage you to use that if you're comfortable for consent as well. So in real life LARPing, if Marshall and I wanted to negotiate a scene together, I would be in front of him, and if there are other people in the room, we could maybe go to the side and go out of character, which we do like this, or like this, and discuss the kind of scene we want to have. With the digital format, that's not possible. We either need to negotiate it beforehand and then confirm over messaging, which we can do again through the Discord server, or we just pre-plan and do it that way. Or if something comes up as we're interacting, which knowing us, it might, because we don't always plan everything, we can hop on Discord and have that conversation. And that's how we're going to handle that. And we'll get the information to everybody for the Discord server soon. So that'll really help there. It'll be a little bit of typing, but it won't disrupt the whole game. If there is a major emergency, we can absolutely disrupt the whole game. And the way we do that is with hold, which is more of a buffer LARP command that people use. And hold means that everybody stops. If people don't all hear it, then they repeat hold until we're done. In real life, a lot of Nordic style LARPs, or at least in America, theatrical LARPs, just do like a hand in the air. That's really hard to do online because we're going to have 10 people lined up here. So we can't use hand in the air. We can use hold with this motion. So it's hold. So look down means just pretend I'm not here for whatever reason. Nobody else is to question it. Hold means stop the game. There's an emergency or a major clarification that needs to happen. This game is not really narrative in style, so I'm not going to be telling you things like, and then an alien spaceship approached and blew up Earth. That's not going to happen. There's going to be like news announcements and stuff like that, and I'll direct the event, but there's not going to be anything where I have to narrate something that you don't actually see or say. So we're going to rely very heavily upon written communication. That said, written communication, as you know, can be misinterpreted. And if there's an intense scene, there might be a need for players to drop out of the call, to mute themselves, to block out their screen, hop into Discord and hop onto voice chat together. Work it out. Talk through it, and then hop back into the call. That's how the game is set up. That's how it's designed, so that you can do that. And we're going to go over the features and tools of these free tools so that you know how to do that at the start of the game. So you can mute and shut off your camera, and then you can go into Discord and have a conversation so that it's you're talking to each other instead of just writing and possibly having some more difficulty. So we're going to utilize a lot of written communication, but that voice option is still there. That pre-planning option is still there. That pre-roleplay option is still there to help everybody feel comfortable. So I also want to talk about inclusion. That's a really central design element for this LARP. Inclusion means that we're trying to make a welcoming environment for all LARPers. We do this with accessibility tickets. So for people who are financially unable to purchase tickets, 1 ticket per run is actually free of cost to them. This usually goes to somebody with a financial difficulty or any other kind of accessibility issue, including mobility. They can get a free ticket and check out the LARP that way and participate. So we're trying to make it accessible. We try to use inclusive language. I'm not perfect. I wrote a lot of this myself. Some of it hasn't been checked. That's what an alpha run is for. So check me on it. If I say something that you feel is not inclusive, please tell me, because I want to change it, including everything on this page that you see here on the screen. And again, I'm going to pop this link into the chat so that you can check it out yourself, because most of what I'm saying is on here. Yeah, fully accessible language, transparent game design, and we try to root out those problematic things and problematic language. And we keep that in mind with the calculation of the ticket costs as well. Consent and communication is really important. We went over the different tools that we're going to use to do that, including Discord, communication over the chat. Out of game means it's like this. You're talking out of game, look down, and using those other digital tools for communication. And also that we'll always have a moderator or 2 in chat to kick out any trolls, because we want to create a safe environment for us to roleplay. And we don't necessarily need you to even be, paying attention to the chat most of the time. But it is there for you to see it. So, and again, immersion, a lot of us are going for immersive roleplay. That's not the only way to play, but the game is designed to achieve immersion. So if you really want to feel like you are your character, that's what you do. And, I encourage people to go for it, to do it safely, to really keep bleed in mind, like we talked about at the top of this session. And, just kind of keep that in mind and pause and talk when we need to. This game also has a counselor built in. That person is not necessarily an out-of-game counselor, as they might be in other games that you may have played, but they are an in-game counselor, and they may make a cue to basically say, hey, are you doing okay? And in real life LARPing, a lot of times we'll use the okay check-in. And then, the procedure for that is to go okay, and then the other person is like, yes, I don't know, or no. Since we can't do that check-in without the vocal sound, because we're going to have 10 people on the screen, I'm going to say that, especially the counselor, but anyone's able to say, out of game, are you okay? And you can use the hand sign if you want, but you don't have to. It's nice to be in the habit, so when you go to other LARPs, you can have that good habit. So out of game, are you okay? And then the other person will say yes, or enthusiastic consent, like, I'm playing this romance plot, and you guys know how I am with romance plots. I'm playing this romance plot, and I'm crying my eyes out because my heart has been broken. But I'm okay with it because I really like having this catharsis, okay? Or I don't know if I like this. We need to kind of dial back the intensity, which you should take as a no, and stop and talk about it, or go onto Discord and talk about it. Or no, as in I'm not okay with this. And then you can ask them how they want to proceed. Do they want to talk about it? Do they want to just kind of cut the scene and move on, or do something else? So those are the different things that you can do to talk about, to communicate effectively and talk about safety in the game. So I'm going to go through all of it one more time. So we have immersion, which is where you feel like you are the character. And when you do that, it can feel great. You don't have to do that. That's not necessarily the mark of a successful role-playing session, but this game is designed to be conducive to immersion, even though we have the screen in front of us. And when that happens, you want to be aware of bleed, which are feelings from your character that affect your real feelings, and vice versa. It can happen vice versa. So if I get in a fight with you in character, and then I talk to you later and I'm mad at you for no good reason, that could be bleed. You want to watch that, especially with antagonistic relationships, with romantic relationships. You always kind of need to keep that in mind, and check in and communicate with the other person as necessary. This is a community of trust, and we're making sure to maintain that community of trust by having a moderated chat and different forums for discussion. So we have immersion, we have bleed, consent, and communication, which will happen before, during, and after the game. Look down again means I'm not here for whatever reason, even if I just need to get up and use the bathroom, or I'm receiving an important text message from like my kid who's at school, or something like that. Just keep on role playing without me, and don't even ask me about it. We have the check-in. Are you okay? To which the other person replies like yes, maybe, which means no, and then you go off and communicate about that. And then we have our communication tools. We have the chat room right here. We have Discord, and you can even mute your chat and turn off the video and go into Discord and talk to other people about it. So we'll be typing a little bit during the game, just for the out-of-game communication to make sure that everything's okay. I've done this in other role-playing games where I'm writing something or playing something in character, and then we're talking about it, we're talking about out of character somewhere else. And it seems to be really effective. So we want to maintain an inclusive environment, no language that is offensive to somebody's physical appearance or characteristics, their race, gender, sexuality, etc. But there will be heavy language in this game for viewers to note, as well as participants. And again, we want to try to pre-negotiate anything too intense if possible. But just by kind of listening to it, you're going to note that some people are going to be angry, and you might hear the F word or something like that. You are allowed to swear on the stream. We need to be respectful of each other out of game, and that means there are certain words you can't use. Like, it might be acceptable for another character for Kathleen, for her character to say "fuck you." That's fine. This is an 18+ stream. That's within the rules of Twitch. You're allowed to do it. What is not acceptable is for her to call me the C word, or to call me a bitch, or to make it, about my gender, because that's not okay. That's attacking like a real life characteristic. So that's kind of the line there, and we can also pre-negotiate that a little bit more to avoid issues. So again, it's always inclusive as we can possibly be, while still tackling these issues that we want to, for those of us who want to explore the depth of bleed and grief and the other themes in this game. And again, we want to avoid any kind of harassment, danger, with an online stream. That's most important, because we're going to be broadcasting this. So we're going to have moderated chats. So our moderators will help you feel safe, hopefully, and catch anything there. So that's pretty much the whole spiel. It's all on that site right there. I do need to add, I am going to add this video to the site itself so that we go through the full explanation. So that you will be able to see that, and we can use this video for future runs as well until we get something more permanent going on. But if you have any questions about emotional safety, physical safety, this LARP in general, any kind of bleed, immersion, anything like that, do let me know. Otherwise, my goal for tonight is actually to finish everybody's characters so they can actually start getting into their roles. And I'm really excited to give our alpha testers their characters. It's going to be completely awesome. We have a lot of different roles here, and even talking to people from beta run and delta run, I can see how different each run is going to be. And we do actually have one player who's signed up for multiple runs. So you'll see more than just me appearing more than once on these. You'll see other people as well. So if you have any questions, pop them in the chat. I'm going to stay live for just a minute or two just to make sure I catch everything. Otherwise, I am going to go ahead and get everybody's characters out to them sometime at crazy o'clock in the morning, and hopefully everyone will really like their characters, and if not, we're going to work together to make something that they're comfortable with, because again, inclusion and comfort, super important part of this LARP design. So thank you everyone for watching, and for anybody watching the pre-recorded version of this, do ask me questions if you have any questions about these safety rules. And again, for those watching live, or for those who don't mind navigating back over to Twitch, you can do that at twitch.tv/TaraTheBard. Amazon Prime, if you have that and you are located in the United States, you can click the subscribe button up there, and for the low cost of nothing extra to you if you already have Prime, you can subscribe to me and support the stream and to help kind of keep the cost of the games low. You can also drop bits, which are the pizza slice thingy, over in the chat box in the corner. You can get them for free by watching ads, and then you can drop them in to the chat to, again, support it. Every bit translates to 1 penny, and those things add up. And I think that also is a US only feature, but if you do have that option available, please do that. It's super important. The other thing you can do is please, trying to sell more runs of this game so I can book that ahead and then design our next digital LARP adventure, as well as Intrigue and Independence, which is our blockbuster LARP. So I'm trying to get ahead here, and this is my full-time gig now. So I want to get ahead, schedule as many runs out as I can. I'm hiring other GMs to run this, so you're also employing those other GMs in a freelance capacity. And once that's set, I can start developing the next digital adventure within the Chariot universe and beyond. And I have some really exciting things planned and brainstormed to really shake things up. So this whole thing tries to encapsulate the experience of leaving home. And it's only the beginning of what we're going to experience in Chariot LARP, because future LARPs could have all of us are on a different ship. There's an emergency and we're all isolated in different rooms of the ship. We're in different locations. We're on different colonies. You know, Alpha, these people are going to Proxima B. What if another run of this goes to the other side of that planet or to a different planet? That can change, and that can become canon, and we're going to have a lot of tools for players to really have a lot of agency and eventually even run their own games with this paid GM model. And I'm super excited to launch something that actually not only keeps me fed, but actually pays people to run games. It's just a really cool system. So more on that coming soon. My priority tonight is getting these characters written and out to everyone. I've been doing a lot of business development. I've worked really hard on these rules. And fortunately, most of the rules of the game are about safety. Anybody who's played any kind of theatrical Nordic or North American LARP can tell you that players have a lot of agency in this type of setting. I'm going to do things to push you and steer you in different directions, but it's up to you. And the fate of your character is up to you. Maybe not every character will even make it onto the ship. Maybe people were put on this list against their desire. There are all sorts of cool twists and turns that are going to happen, and having talked to people and done some character development, it's just going to be really fantastic. Every run's going to be different. It's going to be like Big Brother, watching these, like the Big Brother TV show, watching all these runs. You're going to watch our soap opera. You're going to watch some of us fight. I'm most looking forward to that because I love playing fighty characters. And you'll watch all sorts of friendships develop, romances develop, heartbreak, people leaving their pets behind. You've seen my dog Odin behind me for most of the time. He's going to be in the game, and I encourage people to do that. He's going to be part of this game, because another thing about safety is we want to take care of our real lives, and this game takes 2 hours per session, so I got to keep Odin fed, and I'm going to keep, make sure he's comfy on the bed, because I that's safety. I want to take care of my dog. He's my family. So Odin's going to be part of the LARP. He's a popular personality here on Twitch because he always appears on Tina's stream as well. So again, any other questions, shoot them to me. Marshall, I did get your message following character creation, and I'm going to handle that before I create your character. And I should get something out to you later. I'm really excited about the ideas I have for everyone's characters. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go host Erin. She is another woman in geek culture. And if you could watch her, say hi. She'd really appreciate it. And thanks again. Follow up if you have any questions. See ya.